mobilize in a democratic way to change the Democratic, capital D, Democratic ticket. It's a constant refrain, and it's true among Biden supporters that, the soul of the nation and the fate of our democracy are both on the ballot in this cycle. What's paradoxical, though, is we see it in the case of the Gaza war, which is vastly unpopular with the general public. There is a refusal to heed Democratic voices within the Biden administration and within the larger Democratic Party. It's important to, pan back a bit and remember that, the reason Democrats nominated Joe Biden in 2020 was that Barack Obama basically went behind the scenes to persuade all of his other primary rivals to fold their hands and, cut deals with Biden to make him the front runner. And that was at a moment when Bernie Sanders was leading in the polls and actually was well ahead of Trump in the polls. So this was a very deliberate decision taken by the party establishment in 2020. And we are, it's like Groundhog Day. We're back in this situation where the Democrats have tried to galvanize mass support behind a candidate who's manifestly not up to the job. And there is a failure to just acknowledge, what Americans saw and heard, loud and clear last night.
And Derek Hamilton, founding director of Institute on Race, Power, and Political Economy at the New School. You just have 20 seconds.
What is lost and sad in the messaging from this debate is some of the unprecedented interventions that happened during the pandemic, as dramatic as that was, especially in contrast to the Great Recession, where we invested directly in the American people. We should be building upon that.
Derek Hamilton, Institute on Race, Power, and Political Economy at the New School. Chris Lehman, D.C. Bureau Chief for The Nation. We also want to thank Norman Solomon of the Institute for Public Accuracy, as well as Michelle Goodwin at Georgetown. And finally, Silky Shaw of Detention Watch and Dean Baker. That does it for our show. Democracy Now! Has a job opening. It's Director of Development. Check our website at democracynow.org. I'm Amy Goodman. Thanks so much for joining us.
You're listening to CFRU 93.3 Campus Radio.
CFRU is live. My name is Katie, and today we are here in the Vinyl Library with Full Force Machine, who will be performing for us this hour. If you want to see the video of their performance live as it's happening, feel free to check out our YouTube, which is CFRU Radio on YouTube. But for now, Full Force Machine is going to play us some songs, then we're going to do an interview, and then they'll play us out. So please enjoy.
to be. Sit up and look around. Little white jacket's coming to town. Light it up and fill my cup. She's the kind of woman you can't get enough. She's the woman. Everybody seems to know her name. She's the kind of woman who don't play no games. It's our business till 5 o'clock. But after that, it's time to rock. She take you by the hand. I wish I could be her man. Call her up and you will see. She's the kind of woman who'll set you free. She's the woman. Oh, she's the woman. Yes, she's the woman. She's the
What's up?
All right, CFRU is live. Here we are today with Full Force Machine, and we are super stoked to have you guys in. So welcome.
Thank you. We're stoked to be here.
Yeah, so we're going to start off with a little bit of an interview before you play some more tunes for us.
Sure.
So how about we start off with the basics? Let's do a little bit of a introduction. Can we maybe go around the room and introduce yourselves, what you play as well?
We definitely can. So, my name's Adam, and I'm playing the guitar here.
My name's Spencer. I'm the bass player.
My name is Gabriel. I'm singing.
My name is Raul, and I play the drums. Sorry, I'm
Yes,
giggly.
sir.
Amazing. Well, it's really great to have you guys in today. That was a lovely, awesome, energetic performance for those
Thank
few
you.
songs that you played. How'd that feel?
Felt good. The energy is good in here. It's getting pretty hot in here already.
Yeah.
It is a little bit of
Yeah.
a small space, isn't it?
No, it's all good.
Yeah.
The energy is sometimes when you have like a smaller, more intimate setting, the energy like thrives.
Yeah,
because
that's
of
true.
that, so
Yeah,
It's a
for
nice
sure.
sauna in here. I like
It
it.
is.
The heat
Not
helps, right?
complaining.
Yep.
Yeah.
Feeds the energy there. All right. Well, how about we start off with a little icebreaker? I'm going to channel our other interviewer, Amar, for this one. We'd love to know if you had to take some geese in a fight, some Canadian geese, how many do you think you could take? Individually, as a band, together?
By myself,
Let's hear
20.
it out.
20. Really? Geese are aggressive, man. Have you ever been down the Bayfront? It's
Well,
ridiculous.
yeah.
Well, it's either them or me. So
I see. So you're going with 20? You think you can
20,
take on 20?
20.
Well,
That's
if you
a
can
lot,
take on
that's a lot.
20, I was gonna say maybe as a band we can
Okay,
take
yeah,
on
it's
20,
enough.
but
Yeah, maybe. Yeah,
I'm
that's what I
getting
was
too
thinking.
cocky.
Yeah,
you know, I don't know how many geese could I? Well, I'd probably just run right off the bat.
yeah. I
so
think that's the play too.
yeah,
That's what I'm thinking.
so I'm
I'm
gonna
like,
say if I absolutely had to, maybe like. Well, this is gonna sound really lame compared to what you just said. I was gonna say like 2.
Honestly, I'd get beat up by 20. So I think I was shooting over what I could physically do.
Kudos for trying though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A for effort.
it'd be wild though. Can you imagine like 20 geese just like running
Yeah.
at you? I mean, one is scary enough, right?
What about you, Spence?
I think I could take 4.
4?
4.
Yeah.
4
maybe.
solid.
How would you
yeah.
do that? How would you take 4?
Yeah. Do you have a game plan?
Yeah.
Use one limit each time.
One
yeah.
limb.
That's good.
Yeah.
Like a drummer. That's Raul's
Yeah, I
approach.
know.
That's
Yeah, there
why
you
he
go.
can take on 20.
Yeah.
That's
Don't put 20 in front of me. I'll probably run away. I'm all talk.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I'm the one that's like gonna walk around and take the longest route to get away from the geese and not even have to come close to that being a thought. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, for sure.
They can be intimidating, but yeah, love to hear that. So, anyways, love having you guys in, and it's nice to see you guys in person after having planned this for a while. I guess we booked you guys in a little while ago. Yeah. So love to hear how Full Force Machines started out. So you're based out of Hamilton, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
We're all from Hamilton, and this was just a project that I started during the pandemic. I mean, I've always wanted to start my own band and put out my own record and do that kind of stuff. But when COVID came around in 2020, we all had a lot of extra time on our hands. And so I figured that would be a good chance to put that time to use and start grinding away at that kind of stuff.
Good thing to do at home during the pandemic.
Yeah, well, you know what? It started as when the pandemic first started, I remember playing a lot of video games at first, because I used to be pretty into video games. And then after a month, when we realized that this wasn't a 2-week thing and it was going to be going on for a while, I remember doing a lot of gaming at first and then just thinking okay, if this is going to go on, I can't spend all this time at home.
Yeah, how can I use this for
couch,
good use?
I
feel like everyone kind of went through that a bit, right?
Yeah.
We're like, oh wait, this is actually going to be really long time.
Yeah,
what can I do?
And there's nothing against video games. If you like video games, that's cool. But I just figured that I know that I've always wanted to start my own band and put out my own record and that kind of stuff. So I just figured I got to use this time, and that's what I did. I spent a ton of time every day just working away on writing and figuring out how I want to approach this thing. So for me, this goes back to 2020, early pandemic days. But getting the band together and these guys, that didn't really start until just about a year ago, actually. Our first show was in late July of last summer. And so I had plans going before that because I was working on an EP and just figuring out who I could get to play with the band and all that. But yeah, as a unit now, we've been going for about a year.
Right. So because you were writing a good chunk of all of that, right? You're writing the guitar and
Adam did everything. He did the recording,
round of applause.
Everything.
Yeah, the writing, the lyrics, melody, everything.
So you're versed on multiple
he is the full
forces.
force
Yeah, he is. Yeah.
Literally all the forces of the machine here.
Maybe. But what?
It all comes to play, I know.
The only thing I didn't do on the EP though was sing. So I had Gabe sang all the vocals on the 5-track EP we have, and then I did the rest of the instruments just at home. Out of the basement that I converted basically into a makeshift studio. And if you ask my family, they'll tell you during the pandemic, I basically lived in that basement.
You're getting food brought down to you,
yeah.
Just down there.
There's a lot of coffee cups down there I had to bring upstairs at some point.
The walk of shame, the coffee cup walk of shame, right?
Yeah. But yeah, I just spent a ton of time during the pandemic writing and figuring out how to do all that from home. A lot of trial and error. We were actually talking about this on the way over here.
Yeah.
But a lot of trial and error and a lot of YouTube tutorials. YouTube is great for that.
It's wild.
Yeah, watching a lot of long videos on YouTube about how to, make a home recording that doesn't sound like a home recording.
Sounds
right?
somewhat professional.
So once I figured that all out and did what I had to do, then I reached out to Gabe. And lucky for me, he was down to sing on these tunes.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me.
Yeah,
well,
of course, man.
It sounds like it
Thank you.
came at a good time for you, right? Everything, you'd already been wanting to kind of put a lot of energy into a project like this. So
yeah,
I'm glad you could use all that time during the pandemic for some good,
Gotta
right?
do something with it.
Yeah, for real. Well, it turns out to be great because, so you have a EP out now, correct? A Bare Bones 5-song EP that you put out last year, 2023,
Yeah,
correct?
the EP came out last July. It was just right after we did that first show. I think the first show we did was July 26th, and then the EP came out on the Friday, which was the 28th. So coming up on the 1-year anniversary of that already. Which is,
time flies.
Yeah, it does. It's crazy to think that that's already been out for a year.
It's super impressive, though. Yeah, been listening to it. Yeah, and just of course the songs today as well. Very energetic and
Great. Yeah, thank you.
fun time to listen to. So
that's so great to hear. Thank you.
yeah, so I mean, like anyone tuning in, definitely go check it out online. So you wrote it at home, and you wrote like as we were saying, you wrote most of it yourself. That's like super impressive and really interesting to hear how like the band came to be as well. Like from you having kind of started individually and then going to starting to play shows and whatnot as a band. Has that been exciting, interesting? I'm sure there's been like learning curves and whatnot.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. No, it's been great being able to play shows with my own group now and doing my own music, because I mean I've been gigging and playing in different bands since I was like an early teen, and I'm a drummer first. Right, so I've always done all my gigging and all my projects and everything on the drums, and I still do. So that's always been great, and there's a lot I've learned from that over the years. But then sure, when you start to do it with your own band for the first time, yeah, there's a lot of things involved that you haven't had to deal with before. And for me, one is choosing to play guitar in this band, because I don't play guitar in any other bands. So that's been new. Stepping up and like even just when you're on stage, like no offense, Raul, but like it's so different being more upfront than at the back of the stage, because the drums are a very large instrument, so you're kind of stuck wherever you're set up. You can't really move around, right?
You're kind of placed there, no matter what.
But suddenly stepping up and being on the guitar and having a little more freedom and like moving around, and you can be a little more interactive with the people who are watching you.
Can dance around if you want.
Yeah, jump around.
Yeah, there's like so much more you can do.
It's been great, but it's it took a little getting used to it at first, because the first time I did it, I was like, oh my gosh, this is so different from what
I can move. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And then also with it like being my own group, you have to, you're running the show, right? So you got to be, on top of like booking stuff and getting the guys ready and giving them whatever they need to like learn the songs and stuff like that, and just like all the organizing and planning, like that's been a new thing I've had to like get better at throughout the last year too. But it's been great doing it. Like I've been having a great time doing it.
Yeah, it's like you enjoy it, so it's like work that doesn't feel like work kind of thing.
And then when you play a show and it goes well and you have a great time with your friends and there's a lot of people who show up and you hear a lot of nice things and stuff like that, it just it's fulfilling, makes it all worth it.
All worth it, yeah. How for you guys, for everyone else, how has it been joining in with Adam for this whole band and learning the tunes and performing live and whatnot? I'm assuming it's been a lovely experience, right?
Well, Adam and I just go back so far, and like we've done other stuff before, but this is the first time we're finally like performing together with this group. And so Adam came to me with these songs. He actually came over, was showing me, and there were no vocals on it yet. They're just demos, and I was just so blown away. I'm like, this is good. We need to do this. So he just took care of everything and got it to where it is, and it sounds unreal. But yeah, I mean, playing with Adam is awesome, and it's funny because all of these guys, their main instruments are drums. I'm the only one who's not a drummer.
Oh wow!
So
okay, all right.
Like
That's
Raul's a drummer, obviously. Gabe is a great drummer as well. And like I said, the drums have always been my primary instrument. So
it's
this guy's
great.
the only guy.
So
who
don't throw you
it's
on
great.
the drums, right?
Everyone's
like,
on time. It's like it's so easy. So
yeah, I guess there's a lot of transferable skills there, of course, right?
Oh, for sure.
So
Yeah.
that's cool to hear. So it's because this is like somewhat of a new project, right? And you were talking a lot about Adam, basically like the logistics and everything that goes into running a band, right? It's like the music obviously comes first, and it's what drives everything. But as we know, there's a lot that is not just the music that comes with like having a band if you want it to be, right? And I know that, like, for example, like with your new EP, you put that out, and I'm sure that was a process to learn like how to get that out there as like an independent like artist and whatnot.
Yeah.
And there's no guidelines for this, right? Like there's no manual for how to promote yourself as a band, and
I mean, there's a lot of people out there that give advice who have done it and that you can go to. But yeah, there's definitely no straight up how-to manual. There's a lot of just like figuring it out in the moment.
As you go, right?
You know.
Well, I mean, I know that. I mean, here in Guelph, we've got your CD at our local record store at Royal Cat Records, right?
That's right. Yeah, Royal
Yeah.
Cat, not too far from here. They're the first place to actually like take my record and like sell a physical copy,
Yes. It's very
which is
exciting.
super cool. We set that back up in March. And I was just talking to the guys in there, and then they told me to next time around to bring some CDs in, and so I did that. I think I came back to Guelph like the very next week to bring it
You're
to
like, I'm
them.
ready.
Yeah, and they set it up, and it was great. And they took a nice photo of me outside their store,
Yeah, I
and they
saw
were
that
like,
on
you
your
know, hold
Instagram.
up your record, and so that was really exciting too. So for anyone in Guelph who's listening and doesn't mind the music, you can maybe go pick up a CD if you like at Royal Cat.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, it's awesome. I mean, there's so much nowadays that's just like online
Yeah,
with music, and it's wild to think that like 20, 30, even more years ago, like that was not a thing, and
No, it
everything
was
was physical.
everything.
And I love that about music. Like, I mean, they both have obviously pros and cons and different factors and whatnot,
Yeah.
but I think it's super important to still be producing like physical copies.
Oh,
I mean, I love it
100%
as
agree.
an individual, as someone that likes music, having that physical copy and then being able to like listen to it full through, kind of how the artist intended it to be as
Yeah,
well, and not
it-
just pick a song.
It's a
and-
lot more like natural and organic feeling. And the other thing I love about having physical copies is, you know, you don't really get this when you just listen on Spotify, but you can take the CD or you can take the vinyl, whatever, and like open it up and look at everything that's on the inside. Like half the
Right.
time there's so many like, you know, there's like liner notes about like the recording process and all that. And I find that stuff super interesting, or even if they don't have that, but they just have all the lyrics written out. Like I like
Mhm.
going through all that stuff too and just reading the credits, and if there's thank yous on there, I find that really interesting too. And I don't know, there's just something about having like the actual like physical copy in your hand. I don't know, I like that. So when I like did the EP, you know, even though streaming is so popular these days, like I knew 100% I wanted to get some CDs made, and I got some vinyls made too, just a small
Okay.
order of vinyls, just because
Cool.
I
Very limited edition.
very extremely
Ooh.
extremely limited edition. But yeah, but like I knew I wanted to get those just because, I mean, CDs, I figure like you can still sell some CDs at shows and stuff like that. Vinyls might be a little harder, especially if no one really knows who you are yet.
And just like price point and whatnot.
Yeah, and that too, right? But I just knew I wanted to have like it's always been kind of a dream to like be able to just like hold your own record in front
Yeah,
of you
like,
and
it
then
encapsulates
give
like
it a spin.
yeah,
Yeah.
like, and as you're talking about that, and you're even saying like with the CDs, you can like open up the cover and you actually have like the cover art in front of you. And
Yeah.
I know that on streaming services, like, yes, you see that, but it's such a different experience being able to actually like have it in your hands.
Yeah,
It's
100%.
it's a full experience compared to
Yeah.
that. And of course, like, everyone's different. Not everyone has a CD player nowadays or like whatever. But I
Yeah.
think, in my opinion, it kind of seems like it's coming back. I don't know. I got a CD player so that I could like grab CDs. Like, it's a
It
better
defi-
price point
yeah, it
sometimes. It's
definitely is.
easier.
Making a comeback. I mean, vinyl for sure has made a comeback
yeah.
over the last
big time.
while, you know. And CDs too, and even actually even like cassette tapes, like that's
Yeah.
been making a little bit of a comeback too. Like I remember seeing like back in like 2019 or whatever, like I remember, do you know Mac DeMarco?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes, Canadian.
love
yep.
Mac.
Yeah, great guy.
But he put out a record around that time, and I remember like going to his website to order a CD because I wanted a physical copy. And he also had like cassettes, and I was like, "What? Like, who's?"
I'm like, I
selling
had these when I
cassette
was like
tapes?"
super young and didn't know that they were coming back. And
Yeah,
a thing.
And that
like-
was the first time I kind of saw that again. But then ever since then, I've been seeing more and more bands like having their records on tape as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I honestly, like, I literally within the past like 2 weeks have bought my first 2 cassettes, like, to get back into it and whatnot. And
Yeah.
I don't even have a cassette player yet, but it's motivation for that, right? And
Yeah,
it's just really nice to see that is coming back. And because
Yeah.
for so long, I think everyone was worried that like physical media like that. I mean, it still obviously is less, but it's so nice to see that people care about it.
yeah. I think it's one of those things that it just like it might come and go in waves, but I don't think like physical copies of albums, even like books, because you can read books digitally too. Like all that stuff. Like I don't think that'll ever actually completely go away.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Yeah, I was talking about it with our music director here at one point, and it's kind of wild that, like, on streaming platforms, like, we all have so much of our music on there, but it's not like our music. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you haven't bought it. It could technically get taken away from you at any moment. Sure, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like, there's so many albums I've listened to that, I mean, I can't remember at the moment, but I can go and look back to. But that's is nice about the physical. You, like, literally can go back in, like, 20 years and you're like, oh, here it is. 100%. Oh, I forgot about this, right?
No one's taking away the CDs in my room.
Yeah, exactly.
Or I don't have to worry about internet when I put a vinyl on, you know?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, like, speaking to, like, literally all the vinyl that are behind you guys right now, it's a little wild, right?
I wouldn't mind going through all this.
How many do you think are in there? We don't even have a number on it, I don't think, really? But it's crazy.
Do you have Bare Bones by Full Force Machine in here?
I mean, I hope we do. We should.
I mean,
need to get a copy in
I will walk off the air right now.
This is the message to put this in the vinyl library. Yeah, I mean, CFRU used to obviously only take physical submissions back in the day when digital wasn't a thing. So, I mean, some of you also saw our CD library just in the other room.
That was big, like, CD library. That was really cool to see.
Yeah, it's like a little hallway of, like, CDs and
yeah, I know, you walk in, it's like, whoa.
It's a little overwhelming. But yeah, on the other note, I heard some of you, like, talking before just about the idea of, like, getting your music out there. And it's a different world, and just I feel like having to have, like, a social media presence can sometimes be super daunting, and it's like a whole nother job, right? And it can 100%. Very easily feel like a rat race, or feel like you're forcing it just to get, like, some follows or get the algorithm to like you and stuff. And there's so much to be said for, like, in-person interactions and, like, talking about your music, right? And I'd love to know what you feel about that. Like, what's your perspective in, like, going out there and, like, sharing your music? I'm sure shows and just talking to people are a big part of it, right?
Yeah, I mean, you gotta, like, almost like what we said about having, like, a physical copy of a record. Like, nothing's gonna beat, like, a face-to-face
word of mouth is the best
interaction
way, to promote music, to talk to people. Absolutely.
But, you know, that being said, what you touched upon earlier is very true. Like, social media, I mean, these days with, you know, technology and all that, like, obviously that's a big part of the game now, and there is that pressure to kind of have, or I feel it anyway, to have, like, a decent presence online, you know, and that's something that's been another new thing for me within the last year is you know, starting, like, social pages for the band and trying to promote that page and have it as a place that people can go to find out info about the band and see what we get up to and our shows and stuff like that. But, you know, to do that, you got to be posting all the time.
Consistently.
You always have to have some sort of, like, content that's not just, like, the same thing over and over again, and that's, you know,
like, you're like, that's
tough.
Not why I'm here. Like, I just want to share my music. Like, how am I going to post this? What design am I going to do? Like, it's like a whole nother world, right? And it's just like there's no end to how much you can do. It's too much sometimes.
Yeah, it can be overwhelming sometimes, for sure. But I mean, there's pros and cons, because obviously, like, the social pages and all that, like, that's a great way to, like, immediately tell, like, a whole whack of people about, like, a show you're doing.
Right,
you know, because if social media wasn't around, like, what am I gonna do? Like, call all my friends?
It's like a mailing list,
let them know that I'm doing a show, so that 4 of them can show up.
Yeah, use, like, a real phone to call.
Yeah, you know. So I mean, it is a great way to reach people, even if people don't really read it, or they kind of, like, scroll past it. Like, they've still seen that you're active and that you're doing stuff. So that's good too, but it's a lot more, again, it's a lot more fulfilling, and it's just a better interaction when, you know, you're at a show or you're at something like this, or you're out in public and you're actually, like, talking to people and getting their, you know, their take on it, like, right there in the moment. And it's just different when you can, like, you know, you hear their tone of voice and you see their face, and obviously it creates a stronger interaction and a lasting memory than just a comment on, like, an Instagram post.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
It's natural to be in, like, person with someone, right? Like, I mean, us here at CFRU, we met you back in person at the Apollo Sun show when you played in another band, right, with Daniel Walton.
Yeah, Dreamland.
Yeah. We had you've been in here before. You were in here in March with them.
And that's how like we were able to set this up through all that in-person stuff, like meeting you guys at the show, and then coming here with Dreamland. Shout out to Dan. Go stream Daniel Walton if you can.
Yeah. All the good tunes.
But that stuff all comes from, like you said, it's like because I was here, I was able to meet you guys, and then we were able to talk, and my own music came up, and then you create a connection, and now I'm lucky enough to be in here with these guys doing the same thing for my own music.
Yeah, and what's to say, like, if you had just like sent us an email or like replied to us like on an Instagram thing, like of course we would have like taken that in, but it's such a different experience that we got to see you and like literally physically meet
it's
you,
something
right? It's something
you obviously you remember that more than just another email that you guys were sent, right?
Exactly. So. I know, that's why like all of us have been trying to go to a lot of shows and just like get into the local music scene recently, especially like since we met you guys back in November. That was honestly kind of when CFRU Live took off a little bit. That was the get-go for this whole thing, and we've been having artists on like every Friday pretty much since. It's been a little bit wild.
Yeah, no, it's been great actually, because I got you guys on Instagram, right? So it's been cool like seeing that every week you guys having all these bands and I mean all of us got to be grateful for you guys having everyone into like another place to feature local music and do something that's like a little more and a little different than just doing a show.
Exactly.
Doing like a radio thing, like the fact that we're able to like talk right now in between songs, like that's
and especially cool. With like there's like we all have heard stories about like venues closing recently and just stuff like that. It's hard out there financially as well and everything. So it like I'm so grateful to be a part of this project where it's like another space that can occupy bringing new music and local music to people. It usually, like with all the artists that have come on, it's either they've reached out to us or we have reached out to them, and it's kind of awesome to see like how many, like the variety of artists that are just like within the local community, because like most of the artists that we bring in are from either this area, like within like or a couple cities over, you know what I mean? And it's like once you dive into it, there's a lot of musicians out there, right? It's really awesome to just learn about all these new musicians such as yourself, right? Went into really, I mean, who knows, maybe we would have crossed paths, but thank you CFRU for like Campus Community Radio for doing that and finding new music and whatnot, right? But I'd love to hear from you guys, and I mean the whole writing process and whatnot. What has influenced you as musicians musically? Like without being cliche, is like, oh, what's your influence? But like it's really like I was talking about this with you, Adam, before. Like it is, I mean, as someone myself that loves to just like research different artists and look up new stuff, I think it's really interesting to hear where like what you listen to, because first of all that can like shed light on a new artist for somebody else, but also like, wow, that influenced this project. Like I didn't even see that. That's kind of cool. Like a different perspective on it, right?
Yeah, no, influences I love reading up about influences as well, and everyone has them, right? Every musician has their influences that they look up to and that inspire them to do whatever it is they do, right? So for me, first you kind of mentioned like a little bit about the writing process, right? So for me, like when I write songs, a lot of it, there's a lot of people who will like listen to their favorite songs or their favorite bands, and then they hear something that they like, and then they try to go write something like based off of that specific song. And that's happened with me as well. But I find a lot of the songs I write just come from me just like noodling and messing around, and when I'm practicing, like I'll just come up with so a lot of times when I'm just practicing and I'm working on something, and then I'll come across like a certain riff or a couple chords, and I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool.
Getting that like flow state of it, right?
And then I kind of start, building off that a little bit and being like, okay, well, if I'm playing this riff, like what happens if I hit like this chord next? I'd be like, okay, that sounds good, and that's probably going to sound good if I go to a D after that. I just kind of pieced it together like that, just by like kind of noodling and
just experimenting.
And yeah, that's
how
I
you
write like majority of my songs, just when I'm practicing and coming across things that I'm like, oh, that sounded cool. I should keep going with that.
That like comes from like an authentic place. Then you're not just like, oh, I want to make something that sounds like this. You're just like literally creating and experimenting in the moment, right? And
it's just something that like happens, right?
You even do it during hangs too. Like we'll all be sitting on the couch and you help his guitar with him, and he's just noodling away.
Just bring your guitar everywhere. You never know what you're gonna need.
We'll be
right?
mid-conversation and be like, sick,
you never know what's gonna come to you, right? And even like when it comes to like soloing and that kind of stuff too, like a lot of that stuff I discovered just by messing around in the moment, and I know it's not just for me. There's a ton of musicians that could say the same thing, but that's kind of how you build. Like every musician has their own like unique like bag of tricks that they pull from, and I find a lot of that comes from maybe things that your favorite musicians do, but I think a lot of it comes from like just like discovering like, oh, like if I do that with my fingers and I go like this, like that's a pretty cool line right there. I can definitely use that in solos and just kind of building based off of that. But when it comes to influences, like I definitely have my favorite bands that like inspire me to write. And with this kind of stuff, with the more like hard rock stuff, like I'm a huge fan of like the 80s hair metal scene. So like so many of those bands have like so many like great like raunchy like in your face guitar riffs.
The tones are like
and when I hear them, I'm just like wow, I feel like blown back, like that's a crazy riff, that's such a cool thing to play. And so these guys know, and a lot of people who know me won't find this surprising at all, but like Van Halen is a huge influence on me. I love Van Halen. So much great playing in that band, and there's so much stuff that Eddie does on the guitar that when I see him do it, I'm just like blown away, and it just makes me want to like pick up my guitar and try to like figure out some super fast lick or kind of try to mimic that one thing that I saw him doing. And you can learn a lot from that too, just by like trying to mimic whatever it is your heroes are doing. Even if you don't know exactly what they're playing, if you're just trying to figure out your own way to like kind of get something similar, you can again kind of come up with your own tricks.
Gets the gears going, and like that space is opened up a bit, right?
Yeah.
Like thank you to all those like musicians, like those like pretty big ones that you just listed, right? I'm sure like obviously there's tons of people that they've inspired and whatnot, but to hear that inspiring you as well. But so I mean, to move forward a little bit, do you guys want to keep? Yeah, I'd love to. If you guys want, got
I was
some
gonna say, do you guys
as well. Yeah.
Talk about influences all, or
you got anyone that you think we should?
Yeah, I'm the same boat. I loved all that, the '80s rock, Van Halen, Eagles, Led Zeppelin. Those are probably kind of the start of music really for me, and from there it's kind of expanded and a whole bunch of different artists, different genres, but really love the good old rock and roll. So.
Oh yeah, you can't go wrong. Rush is another one. They're not like hair metal, but like there's so much stuff Alex Lifeson does on the guitar that like just makes me feel like when I hear
energy,
it, and I just like need to like figure out what he was doing in that part. What about you guys?
For me, definitely, I kind of stole all my dad's vinyls. Speaking about vinyls,
lovely.
And just listening to so many albums over and over again from like the 70s and 80s. Definitely love like Supertramp, Pink Floyd, Fleetwood Mac, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, totally.
That's kind of I love listening to classic rock, or as I consider dad rock.
For me, I grew up listening to like Nirvana, Blink-182, System of a Down, Slayer, and then I kind of like circle back to those. Lately, I've been listening to this band called Ways Away. Some artists like Spanish stuff like Nicky Nicole and Young Miko. Even this like metal band called Stick to Your Guns I really like. But mostly rock, heavy stuff, and then some random pop stuff here and there.
There's always random pop stuff here or there.
Yeah. There always is, yeah. Is there anyone like on a smaller level, like a local like artist or musician, that you're like, wow, like I love what they're doing, or whether they're like inspiring your project or not, but just, I mean,
I mean,
saying when they hit
there's
a
a
bell.
lot of like over
There's
the
a
years.
lot.
There's a lot of there's a lot of like really cool local bands that I've been on the same bill with, that you hear them play and then you just want to keep listening to their stuff afterwards. There's another band from Hamilton called Maya Blue. Those guys rock.
Okay,
Really
I haven't
like
heard
their
of them.
stuff.
I'll have to check them out.
Yeah, I've done a bunch of shows with them. Like with Dreamland with Daniel
Okay.
Walton, we've done a lot of shows together, and those guys are awesome. They write great tunes and play a lot of good stuff. And there's definitely there's definitely more local bands that I could start listing off too. But
Yeah, we only got so much time here, but like I love that. I'll have to check those ones out. It's lovely sharing tunes. But speaking of gigs, you guys got one coming up tomorrow, right? At a festival. It's your festival, correct?
Yep.
That's what it's called in Hamilton.
Yeah, in Hamilton, and anyone from Hamilton knows it takes place in Gage Park.
Okay. Yep.
And it's a festival that's been around for a while too. I think it's been around since like the late 60s. It happens like every Canada Day weekend. So so it's starting, I think, or it might be starting tonight actually, because it's Friday.
Yeah, it's starting tonight.
Oh, it is Friday, yes.
But they have like a new music stage. They have like multiple stages, but one of them is like a new music stage, and so I applied for that a little while ago, and so we'll be there tomorrow night on the new music expo stage around 8 p.m. and I'm pretty stoked for that because that's our first festival gig, and festivals are always really cool to play. There's always lots of people around just for the festivities and other bands, so usually you have like decent amount of people to play to. That's a lot of new people to play to,
and ears you might not hear, like that might not hear your music normally, right?
And even if they don't even watch your full set, if they just hear one song and they're like, oh, like those guys are rocking, they might look you up anyway, like later, right?
Well, that's sweet. That's so exciting for you guys. I'm sure you're stoked.
Yeah, it's gonna be great. I just hope we have good weather because it's like it's outdoors.
Yeah,
so
is
hopefully
it
it's not
supposed
like
to rain tomorrow?
raining.
Do we know? I'm gonna knock on wood, and it's been nice, pretty good lately. The heat wave is gone at least, so I mean it won't be like it's hot in there right now. I know I'm playing songs, but you'll be outside a little cooler. And then you mentioned that unreleased, you will have some shows coming up in the next few months as well in the area, Hamilton, hoping for Guelph,
mainly
maybe?
within Hamilton over July and August. There are some other venues that we're setting stuff up right now, and we got some dates that are pretty much set. Just got to figure out a couple last minute things, but definitely for anyone listening, like just keep an eye on the Full Force Machine Instagram page or on Twitter.
Right, I was gonna say, so that's at Full Force Machine.
Yeah,
no
just
dots, no periods, no anything, just Full Force Machine.
No, just for the Insta page. I kind of forget what the Twitter handle is.
I think it's FF Machine _.
Yeah, that sounds very
something like that, right?
I'm like 86% sure that's true. But for Instagram, it's just at Full Force Machine. You can find us, and we have all the info about the band and shows is on there. We have a website too, actually. It's just fullforcemachine.ca or com, something like that.
Something like that.
But yeah, I always post all the same like recent info on there. Or even if I have my own website too. If you just go to adaminwig.ca, everything is on there too about all the shows I do with even like all the other bands, and any info about Full Force Machine or myself is on there.
Sweet. So anyone listening in, make sure to check out those spots online. And if you're in Hamilton tomorrow, or if you're not, make the trek down to the It's Your Festival happening. And when are you guys playing tomorrow? Sorry, do you know?
We're on around 8 p.m.
Okay. It's a nice Saturday night activity going on. Yeah, sweet.
Yeah, so come on out.
Cool. Well, thank you so much for coming in and chatting with me as well.
Thank you for having us. It's been great.
It's been great. Yes, it has. So we're going to have Full Force Machine play, I believe, 2 more songs, 3 more songs. Yep. And then after that, you'll get to hear maybe 1 or 2 of their actual recorded stuff. And then that will round out the hour. So thank you guys so much. And excellent. I'll let you play your last few tunes.
Thank you. Thanks for having us here.
No problem.
looking out that door. Nothing that I needed more. Grab my coat, grab my keys, let my hair feel the breeze. Hit the pedal to the floor. There's a world to explore. We're gonna drive all night past the trees, where the spirits run free. It's a long way to go, long way to go, up to where the stars glow. It's a long way to go. Tanks filled right to the rim. The engine roars its in. You won't feel any more sorrow out on the edge of tomorrow. It's a long way to go, long way to go, up to where the stars can glow. It's a long way to go. It's a long way to go. Crossing city lines, living a day at a time. You're always chasing that dream, searching for what it could mean. It's a long way to go, long way to go, to where the stars can go. It's a long way to go. It's a long, long way to go. Well, that feeling's come around. Been a long, long time, and it looks like I'm love bound. Now I won't let it slip away. It's good to let it stray. Love should last more than a day. And that's how it should stay. Oh yeah, that's how it should stay. Come and get me. Come and get me. Come and get me. Come and get me. Been waiting here all day. Wouldn't wanna have it any other way. Oh yeah, your love is worth the stay. Nothing in this world could ever take me away. And this time it's all mine. Oh yeah, this time it's all mine. Come and get me. Come and get me. Come and get me. Come and get me. Don't you know the last time I felt like this? Your love is saving with shade. Money up there to take it well. How could I ever resist? Come and get me. Come and get me. Come and get me. Come and get me.
Do you annoy your parents with all the singing you do in the car? If so, we have a solution for you and your parents. Guelph Youth Singers are looking to recruit all ages of music lovers.